On this episode, we travel to Hollywood, California to sit down with Christian music superstar Jeremy Camp and the stars of his new movie, I Still Believe. In the interview, Jeremy shares with Dave Morales how his faith in God got him through the darkest time in his life and how his story is one of inspiration and hope.
You know, I've been, so comforted, and God's done so much in my life, and I'm like, I want to share that. You know what I mean? I want to share that with people. And so, of course, I'm excited, but it's the most difficult, most kind of darkest trial of my life, and it's not easy, and I've had many breakdown moments.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button and notification bell to stay up to date with all the Backstage interviews with your favorite stars. This is Backstage with Jeremy Camp and the cast of I Still Believe.
I just want to start out by saying I made a new friend today. You.
Yes, I agree.
You're just amazing, and you
Thanks,
were just
man.
in our city with Mercy Me.
Yeah.
Fantastic show.
Thank you.
We're just so excited to be talking with you and talking about this amazing film.
Thank you.
When did you make the decision to share your story with the world?
Honestly, it began, when it all happened. I felt like I wanted to share the hope that I've been given, and so it was years ago, but not until probably about 2 years ago, I talked to the Erwin brothers, who did I Can Only Imagine, this independent film that was
we covered it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Insane. They talked to me and said, hey, we're doing this film called I Can Only Imagine with Bart from Mercy Me. We've read your book. We feel like that your book could be into a movie. And I was like, oh, okay. And at that point, I didn't know, and I think that you hear these things all the time. And then finally when they said, hey, you know what, we want to do the story after Imagine came out and it did really well, we had an interview. And in the interview, we all felt like it's the right fit. They felt like it was the right fit. I felt it was the right fit. And I just really felt like that, I've been, so comforted, and God's done so much in my life, and I'm like, I want to share that. You know what I mean? I want to share that with people. And so I'm seeing the effects of that. And even you saying that, you're touched by it as well is a huge, huge honor.
Was it difficult, though, to relive this part of your life?
Yeah. People kind of say, are you excited about the movie? I'm like, of course I'm excited, but it's the most difficult, most kind of darkest trial of my life, and it's not easy. And I've had many breakdown moments watching the filming, but it's worth it. In the end, it's worth it to see how it's touching people's lives.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because people are going to see this. They're either going through something similar like that right now, or may have gone through it. That's your message? Because that's what I took away. People, it's kind of like, it's inspiring is what it is.
Yeah. Well, see, for me, I don't shy away from my faith, because I'm like, that's what got me through everything. So I'm not apologetic on that. I'm like, listen, God got me through all of that, so why would I not share that, And so I think for me, saying, hey, no matter what you're going through, there is hope, and God gives comfort and peace in the midst of that. And because some people go, what do I do? Where do I run to? And the fact that I can say, this is what happened to me and how God was my everything is a huge, huge deal for me.
Well, I'm Catholic, and we say, Jesus, I trust in you. So you trust, but then when you also have brothers and sisters that are going through or have gone through, it is a bit comforting.
Oh,
and it does help.
Sometimes I heard this saying one time, we don't always, love the tactics of Jesus, but we love his results. Sometimes we don't like, why did that happen like that? Oh, now I see why. And that's what's so beautiful about it. I didn't necessarily go, I love how that happened, but to see the result of what he's done is a huge honor.
When you're on stage, going back to the concert in Houston and on tour, and you're playing your song, I Still Believe, what are you feeling when you're on stage?
Very nostalgic and I think a deep sense of awe of what God's done, because I'm going, years ago I wrote this song not thinking, this is going to be a hit song, this is going to be a movie one day. I mean, it's the last thing that was on my mind. So I'm writing this song just to try to heal my heart, like just saying, okay, God, I don't know what else to say right now, but I'm going to still trust you. And is that kind of that feeling? And I think for me, it just was that moment of awe of going, Lord, look what you've done after 19 years. Now I'm standing before people, sharing this to a greater degree to the world. It's amazing. His faithfulness is amazing.
Gentlemen, it's great to meet you. I Can Only Imagine, congratulations.
Thank you.
We were so proud to be a part of that film.
Absolutely.
We were able to cover that, do the interviews, and of course, the rest is history.
Oh, it's such an unbelievable moment, and I'm just so grateful for the audience supporting I Can Only Imagine. It was life-changing for us.
Huge for us.
Texas was, I love Houston. I'm in Houston a lot, and I was just in Houston. I'm about to be in Houston again. And it was so good to see just the Heartland support our work and give us so much opportunity now to tell stories that uplift and inspire because of the success of I Can Only Imagine.
And here we are talking I Still Believe, which is, again, inspiring, powerful. What drew you to Jeremy's story?
The stories kind of find us. We really don't go out and seek out the stories. But After I Can Only Imagine, we really weren't even looking for another music story. We got pitched a lot of them. But somebody said, you've got to sit down and talk to Jeremy Camp. And so I knew Jeremy's work, and so we sat down to hear his story out. I went in very skeptical. But about an hour into that interview, he started just talking about his first love, Melissa, and the love story was so powerful that it just captivated us. And so at the end of those interviews, John and I looked at each other. We got to tell this story. And so to tell a love story, we feel like it's in the same world as Imagine, but it's a different feel. And so to be able to bring a love story to life and then have the cast that assembled around it, this story just elevates it to another level.
I want to expand on that in a two-part question here about Jeremy's involvement while filming, because I asked him how difficult it was, and it was difficult for him. But the main part of the question is, what was important to include?
Well, I think the main thing that we wanted to include is that sense of hope and inspiration that we felt when we did the interview. And so when you adapt a true story, which we've adapted several now in a row, it's just all about what's the essence of the story, what's the message of the story, what's the hope of the story, and how do we convey that to the audience.
It's a portrait.
One of the main things that I loved was Jeremy and Adrian were on set most of the shoot, and they just infused the entire set with their spirit, with love, really, and with optimism. And KJ and Jeremy spent so much time together. You really do feel the real Jeremy Camp. You feel his spirit in the movie. And I was so glad to have them there. It was very special to have them there.
At the core, there is the music, and the music is so uplifting.
Yeah.
How do you pick and choose what to include in the film? I mean, it's I love his music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did they go through, and decide?
Yeah, we tried to figure out exactly what take to do, and once we cast KJ as Jeremy, we wanted him to do his own singing, and so we decided to kind of update it. And so I got Jeremy's permission and said, we want to capture the essence of your music, but we want to update it for a more current generation. So we said, would it feel like if Ed Sheeran were to cover Jeremy Camp songs? And we went more singer-songwriter with it. Got KJ in the studio with an incredible producing team led by Paul Mabry, and they made music that, like, I'd buy the album. And it's like, it turned out so good, and it was authentically KJ, but it was also authentically Jeremy, and I love how it turned out.
What have you two taken away? Now, here's another powerful film, is what I opened with when I sat down with y'all.
Yeah.
But now you've got two of these powerful, inspirational films. What have you all learned? What have you taken away from this experience?
Well, every story teaches us, and we choose stories that make us better and that uplift. And I love telling stories that are entertaining, that are emotionally relatable no matter what you believe, but really give people hope. And we're a part of that. And I love this story, that it's not only an incredible story about selfless love and just loving someone and walking with them, even if it's difficult, but it's also a great story that sometimes the things that you go through in life that you don't understand give you your voice that can inspire millions. And that story can, even when you're walking through it and it's tough, can bring hope to millions of people later on. And so I love the themes of this story. We learn from every story that we tell, and we're trying to learn to make the films better and better so that they can be seen by more and more people. But it's a privilege to entertain, and it's a privilege to see that glimmer and spark of hope in someone else's eyes because of something that you had a part in making. That's an honor.
One word. Good to see you again, by the way.
Yeah, that's not one word, sir.
Great to meet you. Though my one word, powerful. Congratulations to both of you all.
Thanks.
What an incredible film. How do you get ready for roles like this?
I think the filmmakers had a really good grasp of the story. They had interviewed Jeremy and a lot of Melissa's family, and they sent me all of that footage, which was pretty incredible. And so it was essentially like being able to watch a documentary before starting the making of the film, which was I just think useful in sort of bringing her spirit to life. But I didn't have any of the tough stuff like the music and the guitar.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I mean, no.
Everyone keeps saying that. I only sang like 2 seconds in the film.
No, but the emotional impact of this film, which I'm going to ask about in a minute, was just incredible and real, which I think is a big part of the story. It has to be credible. It has to be real.
Yeah.
So I ask you, amazing singing, by the way, and everybody's singing your praises, excuse the pun, your directors, Jeremy, everybody's an incredible job. What did it feel for you to be up there performing like I Still Believe?
Well, it felt good. It felt good.
No, but it's a powerful song, and when you know the story behind it now, which we will when we see this movie.
Yeah, I mean, also playing that song for the first time was the first time I had heard the full recording with my voice on it, you know. So it was pretty cool. I was stoked with it when we were doing it.
But what was cool is I think you guys shot it sort of at the tail end of the film, so we had already had so much, that I Still Believe moment, right?
Yeah.
So we already had so much knowledge of what the movie was going to be and what it was going to look like, and so then just having that moment on screen after it was like...
And we shot that at the end too, so it very much felt like I had overcome this whole movie, and then I had to finish with that song, which was put a nice little cap on it.
So here's the question. How did this experience impact you all? Like, what was your takeaway from playing this, being a part of this story?
I learned so much about myself, about my own faith, my faith in God and love, and trusting love. I think that I also learned that it's okay to be angry with God, you know. I think we learned that with Jeremy and Melissa. When we get frustrated with things, it's all good to have doubt, and I think God uses that to teach us.
I completely agree with what you said. Britt, same question for you.
Honestly, it was just a big lesson in sort of who I am, but also just I remember just being like, wow, I mean, this girl was so much younger than I am at this point, and I'm not half as mature as she was when she was going through all this, and just being able to handle something like that. So I think it was just kind of a wake-up call as to like, what are the things that matter to me? Like, what are the things that what is there someone in this world that I would do that for? Do I feel that way about the people around me? Are these sort of, you know, those kind of questions you start asking yourself. Yeah. Just in choosing things for yourself in the world. But it was definitely an eye-opener, and also just such a great experience, such a lovely experience.
It really puts things in perspective too, like when you're faced with something as big as Melissa was, I think it really makes you grateful for it made me more grateful for my life, you know, and yeah, I mean it's an extremely tough thing.